Romeo and Juliet then, and context. Let me take you back to London in the 1590s when Shakespeare wrote Romeo and Juliet. London was an exciting place to be for many of its inhabitants. The city was growing at a dramatic rate. Its population had quadrupled in the previous 50 years. Going to the theatre was a popular pastime. Around 20,000 people, that's about a tenth of the population of London, went every week to the theatre. And because the theatre was in such popular demand, plays became famous at that time. Shakespeare had his own theatre company, which mostly performed in playhouses outside of the city limits, so that officials couldn't impose any restrictions on the plays. And their most famous theatre, you may well have heard of it, was probably the Globe, which has been rebuilt today on the banks of the Thames. Maybe you've been there, maybe you've seen it. The Globe was a circular building with the centre open to the sky. Wealthy patrons sat on benches in galleries under the roof, while the poorer theatre goers, or the groundlings, stood in the centre in the open air. Despite the simplicity of the venue, there was still plenty of opportunity to create impressive special effects, including smoke, firecrackers, trapdoors, etc. It's not known exactly when Shakespeare wrote his version of Romeo and Juliet, although people guess it was in the mid-1590s. Although the play itself was new, the subject was not. The story of thwarted young lovers who go against the wishes of their families had been around for centuries in various forms. Specifically, the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet was popular in 15th century Italy, and Shakespeare was probably inspired by an English version of an Italian story which was published by Arthur Brooke in 1562. And that wasn't uncommon for playwrights to use existing stories as the basis for their own work. After all, they knew when a story was popular that if they adapted it, then they would also see some degree of that popularity. Brooke's text is a 3,020-line poem called The Tragical History of Romeo and Juliet, and tells the story of two warring families whose children fall in love. Unlike Shakespeare's play, the poem takes place over 9 months, and Brooke has little sympathy for his lovers. He presents his story more as a moral tale about the dangers of young lust. Shakespeare dramatically changed Brooks's timeline for the lovers, spanning the action of his own play over just 5 days. That's all that the Romeo and Juliet takes up. He also changed other characters such as the nurse and Mercutio to make them major players in the action. His version of the story has inspired countless interpretations both on stage and screen, some of which I would guess you're probably aware. Don't forget that the information in this video is also available in written form in our Romeo and Juliet revision guide, and you can find that on the Twinkle website. You can also find a whole load more revision videos on our YouTube channel. Please check those out if this one is useful to you. Thanks for watching, and goodbye for now.